Hi there, viewers of Equinoxe Television. It's time for the news. Thank you so much for joining us. Our major star is right away. The head coach of the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon says his team is ready to take or confront the Switzerland national side in their very first match tomorrow. Rigobert Song Bahana was speaking during a pre-match press conference in Qatar today. And also in this newscast, we will be telling you more about the person who will refer the match between Cameroon and Switzerland tomorrow. Fakondo Taylor is his name. Stay with us for details and more. Welcome back, viewers. To begin this edition of the news with this human interest story in the Littoral region, precisely in the Mongo division in Banga, where the corpse of a 2-year-old baby was found in a well in that part of the Littoral region. And how did the baby or the corpse get into that well? Let's now have more with Immaculate Fogwe.
Extreme pain and shock grips the hearts of inhabitants of Banga in the Mongo division of the Littoral region as they helplessly watch the retrieval of the corpse of a 2-year-old boy from a well in the compound.
I even drew water for the well.
I live in the compound. I drew water from the well in the morning and I used the water to do my house chores. One of my neighbors called me and asked if I saw something strange in the well, and I said no. He said his children saw a doll in the well. He asked me to go check again. It was then that I noticed that it was not a doll, but rather my neighbor's son. Locals have advanced diverse reasons that might have resulted to the death of the 2-year-old. How can a girl carry a child for 9 months, cater for the child for 2 years, and later decides to kill the child by dumping him in a well? She needs to be punished. Such an incident reminds us parents that we have to be extremely cautious when with children. I blame this act on negligence on the part of the mother. For 3 days we have been searching for the child. We had no idea that the child was in the well. The mother of the child who tried escaping has been arrested by security elements. Investigations will determine the exact cause of the child's death.
For some time now, Cameroonians in the Western Central region have been using a ferry to cross over the Mbam River, and they are complaining that the cost is really exorbitant. They are also pleading for the authorities concerned to construct a bridge over the Mbam River so as to ease transportation. Let's now have more with Innocent Aze.
For 2 days now, these families have been unable to reach their destination because the ferry to help them cross over to the West and Central regions is not operating for this reason.
We are here to the route that is going to Ngambe. From that side to Yaoundé, the side of Yaoundé or the side of Bausa. We have difficult problem here. To those people that they have the trucks of that side, that they should add the sum of 100,000 to 500,000, which means 600,000. And all the trucks refuse to add it, and they block the route. And we are here to the side of Baus, and they have not blocked. They have blocked the side that we should go into cross today. About
1,000 persons and 100 trucks are stranded at both ends of the Mbam River. Some persons almost died in this river because they were using the risky means to cross over. The stranded transporters complain of paying expatriates hundreds of thousands of francs CFA only to cross the river.
Nous avons payé 500 000 pour traverser ce bac par camion.
An endured situation they want should stop. One of the ferry controllers says every action taken is to ensure the security of users.
Assurer et garantir la sécurité des usagers.
A truck driver also stranded fumes at the expatriates who also exploit forest resources but prevents other truck drivers from crossing using the ferry.
C'est le bac le plus cher au Cameroun qu'on paye présentement.
The disgruntled population pleads on government authorities to quickly come to their aid and construct a bridge over the river so that they get out of this exploitation which brings them misery on a daily basis like the current one they are facing.
And Cameroonians across the national territory, especially those in the West region, say they are being threatened by famine caused by the change of seasons. And those in the West region, to be more precise, say if that is the case, the situation or the food crisis might affect the entire country because the West region is considered as one of the bread baskets of Cameroon. Let's now have more with Mala Glory.
This beans plant is gradually losing its natural color as the leaves turn yellow. It is as a result of climate change. We are in the west region of Cameroon. Here, half of the population depends on agriculture for their livelihood. This period is mostly kept aside for the cultivation of beans in this part of the country. If you see this beans plant at this stage, it's because I planted it in the month of August. It has been barren because of the effect of the sun. Whereas I have applied enough fertilizers, but here I am. Despite the intense watering of the crops by some farmers, the fear of less harvest this season cannot be ignored, according to the locals. We bought some watering cans to see if things could change, but still we are certain nothing will be done. With the nature of the crops and the amount of investment in the farm, a miracle, according to the inhabitants, is the last option. For the past years now, climate change has adversely affected agricultural products in the west region of Cameroon, one of the regions considered as the national bread basket.
We now talk sports. We take you to Qatar. We told you in the headlines that the head coach of the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon says his team is very ready to confront the Switzerland national side that would be in their very first match tomorrow in Qatar. Rigobert Song Bahana was speaking during a pre-match press conference in Qatar a while ago. And a special envoy to Qatar, Smart Njikan Gabriel, before that pre-match press conference watched the Lions also training sessions. He now tells us more in the following write-up. Hello, Smart.
Hello. It was another training session for the boys of Coach Rigobert Song Banak out here at the Al Salia Sports Club in Doha, Qatar. The boys trained today without journalists. They trained for close to 1 hour. No journalist was given access. It is the rule that actually takes place in every competition. The boys of Coach Rigobert Song Banak trained off camera, and after that training session they had time to talk with the media men present. Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting of Bayern Munich in Germany alongside Brian Buemo of Brentford in England were the choosing players given to the press at the mix zone. Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting in totality mentioned that the fact that he has been scoring many goals with his club side Bayern Munich in Germany, that doesn't mean he is in top form, but he is concentrated with the football games he has to play with the Indomitable Lions here in Qatar. The Indomitable Lions marksman also said the Lions den is calm as of now and they are preparing for their first game against Switzerland. Another player who was present during this press conference was Brian Buemo. Brian Buemo, who is playing in his first ever World Cup with Cameroon, says he is very determined to prove his worth. He has played 3 matches already, but no goal. He is hoping to score his first goal while playing with the Indomitable Lions come Thursday against Switzerland.
It's a feeling I can't describe because obviously playing with the national team is a big thing, and in the World Cup as well it's even better. I used to play in my club as a striker, but as a winger as well. So I'm not too lost on the pitch, and yeah, I can just give everything I can to do my best.
The Indomitable Lions will have another training session out here at the Al Salia Sports Club in Doha on Wednesday. before the last press conference, which is a pre-match press conference that will be given certainly by Rigobert Song Baanak and one other player. Equinoxe Television is live covering all of the happenings around the Indomitable Lions here in Qatar. Reporting for Equinoxe Television News on special assignment, Rafael Dipanda, Smart Njiken Gabriel.
You heard that from Smart. That training session wasn't open to the press, but the very last two training sessions of the Lions in Qatar had the presence or saw the presence of our special envoy to Qatar, Smart Njiken Gabriel. You now tell us more about the last training sessions of the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon ahead of their very first match against Switzerland that would be tomorrow.
Apart from the possible absence of Ncham Olivier, who is injured and might miss the match against Switzerland this Thursday, it was a full house in the den of the Indomitable Lions during the last training session, which took place at the Al Salia Sports Club in Doha. The training session that took place under a hot atmosphere is to enable the boys of Coach Rigobert Song Baanak get used to the climate they will be playing against Switzerland. During the first 15 minutes of the training session that was open to journalists, we noticed the presence of Fecafoot's president, Samuel Etofis, who trained with the players. At the Qatar University Sports Facilities training pitch, we met a determined Switzerland squad, having the last session under the supervision of their head coach, Murat Yakin, who is participating at his first ever World Cup tournament. At the time of this report, there was no injury worry within the Switzerland squad that will be taking on Cameroon this Thursday. If Cameroon looks up to Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting, Karl Toko Ekambi, Brian Buemo, Frank Zamboangisa, and Vincent Abubakar to do the magic up front, the Swiss national team is counting on Brel Mbolo and team captain Granit Xhaka, who have been in top form with their club sides before the break, to help them. It is the first ever meeting between Cameroon and Switzerland at this level of the competition. Before this first Group G match, while Cameroon drew 1-1 against Panama in their last warm-up game, Switzerland was humbled by Ghana, no goal to 2. The Cameroon versus Switzerland encounter will be played at the Al Janoub Stadium at 11 a.m. Cameroon time, 1 p.m. in Qatar.
Thank you, Smart. Courage to you guys out there, and we continue to say good luck to the Lions. And now, viewers, do you know who will be referring the match between Cameroon and Switzerland tomorrow? His name is Facundo Taylor. He is from Argentina, and he has reportedly given out 10 red cards in a single match in Argentina. A reporter for Me Armstrong Standard tells us in the report which comes up next that he is certainly a referee to watch out for. His report.
Born on the 4th of May 1982 in the town of Bahia Blanco in Argentina, South America, Facundo Raúl Telo is a listed international referee for the World Football Governing Body, the FIFA. Facundo began officiating the highest division of Argentina's football league since 2013. He was quick to gain prominence in his homeland, officiating the Primera Division after just 4 games officiated in Argentina's second tier. In 2018, he was asked to officiate the first ever Super Classic, returning the same year to referee the finals. In 2019, the 40-year-old gained recognition on the international stage, enlisted by the World Football Governing Body, the FIFA. Selected among 5 other referees, a staggering 10 red cards during a Primera game opposing Boca Juniors and Racing Club in Argentina. A match played few days to the start of the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. Telo is thus coming to the World Cup, having officiated a total of 118 professional matches in Argentina's Primera Division. Having brandished a total of 612 yellow cards and 45 red cards today, in September, he dished out 6 yellow cards and 3 red cards as Racing secured a 1-0 victory over Club Atletico in Argentina. This
And now, coming up next, our staffman Babila Jonathan tells us about the history of the Indomitable Lions' participation in the World Cup competition so far.
The 5-year-old Brett Donald Mbolo is a Cameroonian with a Swiss nationality. The young dynamic player has played 136 matches and won 54 in the Bundesliga, one of the talents Cameroonians say would have contributed to the success of the Cameroon national team. But unfortunately, Donald Mbolo will be playing for Switzerland against his country, Cameroon, tomorrow in Qatar for the FIFA World Cup competition. Brel is also a professional footballer who plays as forward for Ligue 1 club Monaco and also plays for the Switzerland national team as centre-forward player. Donald Mbolo has represented Switzerland at the UEFA Euro 2016, the 2018 World Cup, and the UEFA 2015 competition. Brett made his senior international debut in 2015. He scored his first international goal on the 1st of November 2012 in a 3-0 away win against Ukraine under 16. Playing as centre forward for Switzerland, Brett Mbolo is also eligible to play for Cameroon. In qualification for the 2018 FIFA World Cup, Mbolo scored once to open a 2-0 win over European champions Portugal at his former club ground in Basel. Mbolo also scored once in the UEFA Euro 2020 qualifying Swiss. At the finals held in 2021, he scored in their first group game, a 1-1 draw with Wales in Baku. The young dynamic player will be playing against his country tomorrow. The two countries, Cameroon and Switzerland, will be meeting for the first time in the World Cup competition in Qatar.
We sincerely apologize for that mix-up, other viewers. That was rather a report by Lucille Yengu is here on Brett Mbolo, who is originally from Cameroon, but will be defending the Switzerland national colors or national sides tomorrow. Let's now come back to these other reports by Babila Jonathan, who will be telling us about the history of the Indomitable Lions' participation in the World Cup competition so far.
In the 1960s and early 70s, African football earned a reputation for a spectacular attacking playing style, creativity, fitness, with solid and flexible tactical schemes were emphasized by both African and European coaches. Mali's Salif Keita, Laurent Pokou of Ivory Coast, and Congo-Brazzaville's François Pelé personified the dynamic qualities of football in the post-colonial era of the African continent. In the late 70s, several talented African players migrated overseas, and that players fell out of favor with European clubs. However, the integration of Africa and Africans into world football accelerated in the 1980s and 90s. Cameroon's national male football team, the Indomitable Lions, was a driving force in this process into Group 1 with Italy, Poland and Peru. In their first game, Cameroon faced Peru and drew 0-0. They then held Poland goalless. They then helped Poland reach the quarter-final of the World Cup in 1990, losing to England in extra time. The 1994 World Cup in the United States saw the adjustment of representation for African teams from 2 to 3. Cameroon qualified along with Nigeria and Morocco. In the final tournament, Cameroon was drawn into Group B with Sweden, Brazil and Russia. After a 2-2 draw against Sweden, Cameroon lost to Brazil and Russia sealed her elimination. In their last game against Russia, the then 42-year-old Roger Milla became the oldest player to play and score in a World Cup final match. The 1998 World Cup in France saw the increase of 24 to 32 teams, with Cameroon one of the 5 countries representing Africa. Cameroon was drawn into Group B with Italy, Chile and Austria. Despite drawing with Chile and Austria, a 3-0 defeat to Italy saw Cameroon finish, but was also during this tournament that a certain Samuel Eto'o was exposed to Cameroonians. He was the youngest player of the tournament alongside Michael Owen of England. The team was coached by French-born Claude Leroy. In the Ireland, after giving up the lead and later defeated Saudi Arabia 1-0. In their last game, Cameroon was defeated 2-0 by Germany, who had not lost a game. The Indomitable Lions was the first team to be mathematically eliminated in the 2010 World Cup, going out last-minute winner. Their first match comes up Thursday against Switzerland.
Thank you, Babila Jonathan, for taking us down memory lane. In all, we wish the Lions good luck tomorrow. And now, before we take leave of you viewers, these are notes out of the country to neighboring Chad, where reports say at least 10 soldiers have been killed in an attack by Islamist militants. The attack took place in the early hours of Tuesday morning at an army post near Nguboa in the Lake Chad area, the marshy region shared by Chad, Niger, Cameroon, and Nigeria. It has just subject to many attacks by Boko Haram and the Islamic State group. Chad has been rocked by political turmoil and severe drought caused by climate change. Is having a disastrous effect on livelihood in the Sahel nation. And also last week, the UN said 500 people had been killed in inter-communal violence since the start of the year, mainly in disputes between agricultural farmers and nomadic cattle herders looking for pasture. It also sets a record 2.1 million people in the country are actually hungry 3 weeks after a deadly crackdown on democracy protesters in Chad. The country's chief of police and head of the gendarmerie have been replaced, as have a number of other senior officers. And Chad is ruled by a military junta whose leader originally said he would step down, but recently announced he was extending his rule by another 2 years. And viewers, that was what we put together for you on the news this evening on Equinoxe Television. We thank you so much for always being with us. Don't go away. You will be meeting Serge Alangotu and his panelists that would be in your special program for the Qatar Football Jamboree. And Julien Beth Bissay will be with you at 8 p.m. for the news in the French language. Bye-bye for now.